Well, it's a Sunday today, and that is the day I normally do all of my cleaning. So I'm just going to go through and show you my maintenance routine for my aquariums. I've got my cat here helping today. This is Yorgie, the 9-month-old Maine Coon. He loves it in here. So things aren't actually that bad. We just need to do a bit of glass cleaning. We can see paw prints on the front of this tank that need cleaning off. A little bit of a scrub on the inside. You can see here's a bit of algae build up on the glass. And where I've been working in the tanks, we've got a bit of salt on the outside of the glass. So nothing major. This is the tank I'm going to do more work to actually, because we've got a little bit of evaporation and a bit of a horrible filthy scum build up. I really need to add another surface skimmer to the top of this tank. I'm going to mix up some salt water, so I do that in my 250 litre drum, and I use basically 10 kilos of salt in this drum. Literally just a matter of pouring it in. It's obviously a lot harder to do this one-handed. I don't know if you remember, but I reviewed a gravel cleaner by AQQA. That's that white thing there, and what I actually use it for is a pump to blow my salt around so it mixes, because it's really handy, it's pretty powerful. I can turn it on just using that, and then after a while you can see it just mixes the salt. That'll take about 2 hours to mix. What I'll also do is chuck this heater in there. So I found the most important thing really with water changes is salinity has to be close enough, but the temperature is way more important when it comes to water changing macroalgae. For cleaning this sort of stuff on the glass here, I just use this simple tool. You've seen me use it before. It's a razor blade with a handle. What happens is, unlike a sponge, it absolutely removes that hard-on algae that you get building up on the glass, especially if you don't clean your glass as often as you should. Like me, for instance, I only do it once a week or so. So a razor blade is the right tool. Obviously, be careful around the silicone because you might damage it. And then what happens is you get a leaky tank, which is not great. The other thing I would do with this tank is just give it a bit of a stir around. This is my Cheeto and Ulva tank. You can see it's full of really healthy green Ulva and my clean Cheeto. You can see here it is absolutely sparkling clean, green and happy. But you do need to give it a bit of a stir every now and then just to move it about, turn it over. There is a pump in here, but it's so full, this tank, that actually it's not moving as much as I would like. The last thing I do is just get a bit of water on a sponge and clean the outside. Now in an ideal world I'd use unsalted water to do this, but as you've just seen, I've just put salt in my RO barrel, so really bad planning on my part. And then lastly, squeegee. And that's essentially the process for all of my tanks. So that's basically all of the glass tanks done. That's essentially my weekly maintenance on the glass tanks. Other than I do a water change on them every couple of weeks, basically they look after themselves pretty well. The only thing left to do on this tank is actually just get rid of these cat prints. He does like to come in this shed and watch the fish, I've noticed. So we'll just get rid of them. Now what I will also do every now and then is give these glass bits a clean as well. I don't do it that often because these aren't really display tanks. They're just for my personal pleasure. So when they get a bit mucky like that, give them a bit of a clean. I'll also clean these lids when the light can't really get through them, but at the moment they're okay. So yeah, we'll just squeegee this off. You can see the blue octos in this tank is looking absolutely incredible, isn't it? It loves this tank. I found that about macroalgae, that it always seems to have a tank that it likes to grow in. So blue octos loves this tank for some reason. This caulerpa loves this, and so on. And throughout my shed, that's basically what I've done, is I've just found the tanks and the systems that the macroalgae tends to thrive in, and that's where I'll try and grow them. It's an odd thing actually, because if I move them around too much, what happens is they just start to die. I don't know why, but you know, the conditions must vary between the tanks and the tubs. And the tubs is the next thing I need to do. So I don't do a huge amount of maintenance on these. The only real main thing is to make sure these are clean. So they're there to stop snails and hermit crabs and things going down other bits and pieces from going down and blocking up the pipe work, and that has happened. And as you can see, you do get hair algae growing on them and stuff like that. So the only real maintenance I do on here is just to go through all of them and just give them a wash so that they work properly. You can see in this tub I've got tons and tons of Hallomenia maculata, which is one that you don't see very often or at all in the hobby. And I almost lost this complete species because I moved from my old shed a couple of years ago, and in moving it just didn't like being put onto a new system and it melted away. And I do not lie when I said I had about one leaf of this, about the size of a 10p piece. I don't know, in America probably a quarter. That's all I had. And from that, it likes this tub and it's doing really well. So finally onto the Fluval shaker tank. I don't really want to do too much to this. I'm not going to do a full water change. All I'm going to do is I'm going to use a hose and I'm going to suck out the hair algae that builds up. You can see it on the back there. Give it a good suck out. I've already disturbed the surface. I'll try and remove more of that. Give it a bit of a spruce up and then refill it. That's it really. I've only drained out a few inches of water, maybe 4 or 5 inches, and I've just removed some of the hair algae from the back and the sides. I'm not going to do too much. You don't really want to disrupt a mature reef tank too much, especially a macroalgae system. The hair algae is there because it's also a macroalgae, right, and it's also part of the ecosystem. So I'm not stripping anything down or going crazy, but I'm just making it look a little bit neater and tidier. Now, one thing I did change from the last time you saw this tank is I've changed the light. There's two on here. I've got 2 Hyggers at the minute. I did put this Seora light on there and it's actually too bright. You know, in my review video I was amazed how bright it was, but you can see that this macroalgae actually started going white because of just how bright that light was. Everything else was really happy. The clerpas and things are all pearling and growing and everything else you'd expect, but the darker macroalgae, the reds and the browns and stuff that I've got in here, just didn't like it. So unfortunately on this mixed macroalgae system, that light was too bright, which is just an interesting little snippet that I've learned. Possibly in future, if I want to run really bright LED lights, I can't have any of this red or brown macroalgae. It's just going to be reserved for the clerpas. You can see here as well another example, that mammillaris, where it's gone yellowy white and started to die off. It's because it was too bright. And since I've changed the light back over, we can see right on the end there we've got brand new growth tips and it's just gone to a darker colour. So all you macroalgae keepers out there, just take note. Possibly if your macroalgae, especially your browns and the reds, are dying off, it could be that your light's too good. And that's it, all clean, all water changed. You can see not much has changed, but it's just a little bit tidier. On a deeper clean, I would clean all the lights and go around all the wood panels, etc, etc. But general maintenance, that is my routine. So I hope you've enjoyed that video. A lot of people have asked me to do more fish room, macroalgae based videos. So I thought I'd do this one for you guys. If you have enjoyed it, please leave a like and leave a comment as well, okay? Because that will convince me to do more of this kind of video. So thank you very much for watching and happy fish keeping.